Welcome to Press R Today. In 2 weeks, a new school year will begin. Within this time, unethical practices are at their peak, with admissions, transfers, and appointments topping the chart of such morally decaying behavior because corruption is at its peak. At the face value, everyone condemns corruption and finds it easy to point accusing fingers. But at a deeper level, it seems we are all involved. Do not be quick to say you are not involved simply because you have not given or taken any form of bribe. If you are aware of any case of corruption and you don't fight or report to competent structures, you are as good in it as the perpetrators. So too, I am told that any favor you get because of your name or position over a more deserving person, whether you initiated it or not, it is an act of corruption. We can stop saying the system is rotten. It is more about us than the system. We can stop cursing the darkness and each of us light a candle. We can be the change we expect to see in the others so that we can let cease to be victims of corruption circumstances. The National Anti-Corruption Commission, CONAC, is at its doors at the end and at the beginning of every school year, promising to ensure a corruption-free back to school this year. The question we are asking on Press R today is, are the control measures against back-to-school free corruption working? This is Press R, and I am Kilian Ndandifoni Yaounde. You are welcome back to talk about this very topical and to some people sensitive topic in Press R. Today we have guests who are guests in the domain. Meet Mrs. Nchitu Kimbi Imelda, who is an educationist. We are glad to have you on our set today.
Thank you very much for inviting me here first and for giving me the opportunity to talk about corruption in schools and whether the measures put in place are working. I think I'm a seasoned teacher and administrator, and I can tell you that sincerely, I like the way you put it. It is not the other person, it is me. Don't say, I cannot say I'm free from corruption, but I can tell you that the measures put in place have not really been working, but I think that with the present dispensation, everything is going to work. With the fact that the minister, the state is trying everything to make sure that all the pupils, the students getting into schools this year are going to have unique identification numbers which they will carry till the end of the academic year in their school, the school cycle. For example, a child entering from one today will have an ID number which you carry till upper seat, even if it transfers to another school.
Or even gets to the university level.
Exactly.
I was with the minister whom we greet here, Professor Nalova Lyonga, when she was planning to announce that, a very meticulous person, a reformer of all times, you should read my lips, who actually brought into action a week ago the unique identity number you are talking about. We only hope that that comes to control, to mitigate what we have as corruption that has been fought over the years. And we think that very little is changing. And at this moment, I'm going to introduce another lady, a no-nonsense lady. Promise Akante is a journalist with ICT University. You're welcome.
Thank you, Kilian. Thank you for having me on the set. And with our co-panelists, we hope that we are going to discuss it the way it is. Because if you have to treat the abscess, you make sure you operate it. You remove the, how we call it in the pidgin language, the mammy of the ball, and make sure that you clean it very well. If you don't want to operate the abscess and clean the purse, sure you're not going to get healed. So yes, it's going to be painful to say it how it is, but we have to so that we can comfortably say that we are fighting corruption in our country. So yes, just get uncomfortable with us saying it the way it is.
Yes, and saying it the way it is a very difficult thing because corruption has become as a canker worm. It is very difficult to fight, we must admit, because it has grown wings, roots, and hair to a certain level in the country, that we need to fight it with all our energy and make sure all of us are involved. And at this very moment, I introduce Mr. Kweti Roland, teacher. He is a civil society activist. I underline the word activist, and he also is on this set today as a parent. We are happy to have you on Press Asset today, Roland.
Thank you very much, Brother Killian, for having me. It's always a pleasure being here. And I would like to appreciate or to, in short, to upload the idea of bringing this topic, especially at this period when schools are about to resume, because the youth, the importance of the youth in the development or the well-being of a country is crucial. It's very important. And corruption is eating deep into our society. It's a cankerworm, as you rightly introduced. And if nothing is done, especially fighting it at the level of our schools, then we are doomed to fail in all aspects of development in our country.
Yes, we should make sure that it is not part of the culture of our children, as you're saying, because if it becomes part of their culture, of course, it will even become complicated in future. Thank you very much for raising that point. And the last person we are introducing on the set is actually the specialist in this topic. He is a senior staff from the National Anti-Corruption Commission, CONAC, and he's just back from the field where they are going round all the nooks and crannies of Cameroon to make sure that every school is touched, not to have corruption as we go back to this year's schools reopening. And I greet you, Mr. Etue Titi William. You traveled from the East region to Yaoundé just for this program, and I think after this you're going back to the field. Well, welcome.
Thank you very much, Killian. Well, after this, I'm not going back to the East. I'll continue because we touched the East. And from the East, we were in the Adamawa. That's my team was in charge of the East and the Adamawa region. Other teams were sent to other parts of the country. And after this phase, we continue with the third phase of the fight against corruption, which will also require a kind of surveillance team, a team on alert with CONAC's public utility numbers, like the hot free and call free number, like hotline, which is 1517, and the WhatsApp, which is 658262682, which were popularized within this campaign, distributed in every, printed on every document that was handed out to the public. We're expecting people to call in case of any act of corruption. So there is this watchdog team that will be in place to receive denunciations, and then action is going to be taken by the
You are going to give us details of what you're talking about. And if I just ask you, it is said that corruption is already visible, so tangible that you can see, touch. Did you see corruption in the East where you just came from?
Well, maybe corruption in schools in the East region.
Yes.
Yes. If you ask me the question that way, I will tell you I did not see corruption in schools in the East region. Maybe because registrations have not started. Maybe because schools have not reopened. What we met were teachers on standby staff. They have a list where they rotate for those to work on permanence to receive potential students. All students are not rushing. We saw those changing schools, coming to find out the modalities for transfer and all that.
Thank you very much. I asked that question. If you go and look from afar, you will always not see, even when schools reopen. When you see those people hanging around, there is corruption, you should have dug deeper. Then we're going to ask you what happened. Ladies and gentlemen, at this moment, we're going to give you what the newspapers fared on in the week that just passed. And Yoti Kalele Songe read the newspapers for Press R. Yoti.
From being in deep water for decades, some Yaoundé denizens finally get to witness an abundance of water supply. News of the additional 3,000 cubic meters of potable water pumped in daily to boost water supply in the nation's capital city and its environs came gushing on newspapers. For a minute, the audience mistook it for a flood, then later realized it is good news, as Cameroon Insider headlines, Yaoundé water supply from scarcity to ubiquity, and Cameroon Tribune concurs. A new dawn owing to the Emana Bachenga potable water supply project, dubbed by Peace, and like every good newsman, the reporter streamlines Minister Gaston Elundo Isumba setting taps flowing at Bachenga. A jubilation occurring when Echo Outlook reports on the Limbe City Council draining a stubborn pool of water around the Mile 4 Park, while Municipal Updates mentions the senior divisional officer for Logon and Shari's efforts to combat floods in that part of the country. This same week, pressmen brought to memory the Ligneos disaster. The Guardian Post regrets that 38 years on, the Ligneos disaster survivors are still crying in the rain, with Municipal Updates attesting to the assertion right from the cover page. Cameroon Insider is, however, pleased to inform readers that the disaster at Ligneos and a similar event at Lake Munun today provide new information on the possible effects of large-scale emissions of carbon dioxide. The country's road infrastructure also went under the spyglass in some newspaper editions. Cameroon Tribune opts for the interrogative, using phrases like when roads are good, and the Horizon pinpoints the Bonepupa-Yabasi road, indicating that geotechnical studies have been prescribed to anticipate risks. Before the wind of change in the secondary education sector became obvious, reforms Cameroon Tribune evokes. Likewise, the Herald Tribune, which highlights the introduction of cinematographic arts in the new school year, an academic year wherein the National Anti-Corruption Commission wages a war against corruption in the school milieu, while the News carries a special report on Bamenda's forgotten orphans. In the meantime, the Post points out that after the standoff over paramedic training, the Higher Education and Health Ministries have agreed on a selection test and co-mentorship. To be more concise, the Herald Tribune discloses an end to the imbroglio. Just when the World Health Organization declares a global health emergency over a monkeypox outbreak in Africa, recounts Echo Outlook, with the government urging citizens to wash their hands regularly with clean water and soap, writes the Post. The sports column also gave the readership much to digest between the caption of Issa Hayatu's funeral, eclipsing Landrin Gemos on Newswatch, and Coach Magbri's slamming Eto's leadership on a French-language newspaper published in Brussels, Belgium, to which fans react. On the median, newspaper lovers had much to read about in the week's publications.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We are just joining us. This is Press Hour, and we are broadcasting live from Studio 4 of the Production Center, CRTV Production Center at Mbalatu and Yaoundé. We are discussing corruption in schools, and the question we are asking is, are the control measures put in place to fight the corruption working? Are they working at this time that schools are about to reopen, and it is the time that corruption is at its peak in the school milieu? We have one of our panelists here is Mr. Etwe Titi William, who is an official senior staff from the National Anti-Corruption Commission, just back from the field. They have been on a nationwide campaign. Tell us now, is it working? Be very sincere, the measures. We should ask first of all, what did you see in the East where you went to? You are the head of delegation.
Yes, let me answer you directly. What I saw in schools during this mission is that from the appearance on school campuses, it shows an engagement by school authorities, education officials to fight corruption. Because, the National Anti-Corruption Commission carries out preventive actions in its strategy to fight against corruption. So when we go to mobilize the public, when we go to talk to education stakeholders, on the need and on how to fight corruption, especially in schools. And then we find out that school authorities independently have taken measures to accompany this action, that's the fight against corruption. It means that there is a level of consciousness and also engagement to fight against corruption. CONAC has put anti-corruption boards in almost every school, and also posters, because we discovered that even the posters of the 2021 school year were still there, they were not touched. Now, apart from this, schools have decided to carve out, print their own messages, put them on solid, let's say, grounds, so that, so that it cannot be destroyed. You enter into a school, the first thing you see when you go into the campus, non à la corruption, no to corruption. You go into the entrance to the chair, into the principal. You see CONAC's board. Beside, you see the school's writing. I'm talking of a production from the school, a document or a placard produced by the school, pasted on the wall. So what does this mean? This means that they are conscious. They are engaged. Now, maybe we may doubt the effectiveness of their commitment.
We are actually involved with the effectiveness.
But I think that I was going to ask you, because
now you've talked about effectiveness.
That's what I saw, which therefore means that I'm trying to interpret what I saw. That's what I saw, as far as the fight against corruption is concerned. I saw that school authorities, school officials are engaged in the fight against corruption. I was moved. In my one-on-one with the principals, I told them that I expect that these writings are accompanied by action, and they would assure you it is. And another thing that I also applauded is that you may not know, in most of those schools there are cameras. When the principal sits in his or her office, there's a camera that shows all the corners, and even some sensitive offices on campus, which therefore means that there is even a measure of surveillance. There's even a kind of a measure to observe, put in place. If all of this could be used positively and effectively, because I would say the measures are working.
Well,
but they are working to get to a level where we would see their work. This is what I saw, which you may not mean a thing. But me, in the fight against corruption, it touches me to see that they are taking actions. And I think that if they continue that way and they accompany the action with, these initiatives with engagement, things will change.
You just said some of the billboards, which you also call as placards and posters, date back to 2001.
Yes.
They are standing there like window dressing. And what we are saying today, and CONAC says it also, you mentioned in your earlier intervention here that the school milieu is one of the most important areas. Women's corruption is endemic. You also make mention of cameras. Corruption, that the money they take around and some other influence they take around, they also see those cameras. They carry to homes, they carry in secret distance. I think that's what you were supposed to be looking for, not the billboards.
No. Let's say this is a behavior thing, a behavior change action. And for people to change their attitudes, to change their mentality, there should be a measure of communication. You know what I'm talking about? Like the needle effect of communication. That people need to be drowned in the communication, and then they will just, maybe unconsciously, start acting positive to what they are being told. When a placard or a poster stays there, somebody may think that it's just a window to be. No. When you pass and read, somehow it affects you. Now, let me tell you the change that has brought. Before now, taking bribe in schools, 50,000 for a bench or giving money was done openly. You go to the principal's office or the vice principal, they tell you, go and look for it and you come and pay. Or you come and pay money for a bench. For a new child you are bringing into that school, it's an open secret. But today it doesn't happen like that. How does it happen now? Now, how it happens, let me just give you the effect that this communication has brought. They now pass through middle persons. It's not like we are saying there is no corruption. There is. And we are adapting our strategies to suit
I thought that's where you were supposed to start.
No.
Exactly. See. Let us look at it. Let us look at it this way.
Yes.
All this while you're putting emphasis on billboards that are hanging there.
That's what I saw.
But we thought that since CONAC knows that these billboards have been there for decades and very little is changing, I thought that you go there with people undercover as parents, as students, and then go to seek for admission, and
Kilian,
I think that is the way it works.
Kilian, let me tell you. Okay,
After communication.
Kilian, I can tell you this.
Yes.
Excuse me, just give me a few seconds.
Go ahead. That's why you are here.
That's a strategy.
Yes.
Which we are applying in every sector where there is, let me say, in all the sectors. What you are doing, we call it a rapid intervention approach, which works and which we have been doing. I can cite you instances where we have done that. We have caught heads of institutions. We have written, some of them have been sacked, even here in Yaoundé. I can tell you instances that happened. I don't want to call the name of the school, but I can even tell you the names of the schools, secondary schools, where the minister had to sack or punish the school head because of that. When we want to carry out, we want to implement the rapid intervention strategy, that's what we do. Which, of course, like we said, I was trying to come gradual. We have a watchdog now. We have already put information to tell them, don't do this. If there is a call that is corruption going on here, and we have to find and catch that person red-handed, that's what will be the next stage. Now it's informing and sensitizing and telling people not to do it. Schools have not started. So when schools will start and it's necessary for us to do it, that's what we will do. But for now, what I can tell you is that it has helped to reduce. We may not know it here. It has helped, if it has put fear in the camp of those who are endorsing corruption. Most of fear is also a very good factor. The principal now is afraid. A teacher is afraid. Even the parent, because parents too corrupt, they are afraid. They know that, and that's what we told them. The person who comes to talk to you about bribe is the same person who may turn back and denounce you. So I think it's gradually going down the scale.
Roland,
it's not that it's not visible, but we're gradually getting there.
Roland, you are a parent, and he's made mention of a parent. You, the parents, and the heads of school establishments are the main people. You may have middle persons, but you are the major actors in this. So are you parents afraid to go and use any kind of influence to get your children admitted? Because sometimes it's a matter of do or die.
Kilian, you are very right. It's a matter of do or die. Corruption, as you rightly mentioned, is a cankerworm already. And it is present in all sectors of life in our country. But so disturbing is its presence and the level of the gravity in the education sector, considering the importance of youth, the future of our nation. We parents at times have just no choice. You rightly said CONAC should rather work with parents, work with civil society organizations, and they should be telling us that in 2021, you shouldn't be telling us the number of billboards that were placed, but tell us the number of principals, school administrators, or teachers that were sanctioned because of corruption. I would not like to limit myself to corruption in schools, Mr. Kilian. I'm sorry about that. But let's talk about corruption in the education sector itself, because this is a very, very sensitive and important topic that you brought up. You know, even the transfer or the promotion, career promotion of teachers or actors of the education sector is another factor. Even where a school is constructed, where a school is to be I don't know, that's the promotion, there's transfers, you pay money. There's this spirit of mediocrity that reigns, and that is being transmitted from the teachers to the students or to the pupils. And then this other aspect, again, of hardship. A minister once told us here that it's very normal to live in Cameroon with 28,000 francs, or in Yaoundé, you know, on a salary of 28,000 francs.
Today, no longer 28. The minimum wage now is 43,000 francs.
So we parents at one moment are like obliged to get to engage in this practice of corruption, because it is like it has been normalized or institutionalized. You go to any school, any government school, I mean, the story is you have to pay this. If I should talk about the Millennium Development Goal number 14, which talks about education, free access to basic education, Cameroon actually made some advancements in that direction, saying that's like counseling fees for primary schools, okay, basic education. But we know after the cancellation of those fees, there was now the installation of not only PTA fees, but that's the elevation of PTA fees. Now, a normal parent is not able, considering the economic situation of the country, to comfortably send a child or sponsor a child in school. It is so difficult that CONAC, that's the umbrella organization that fights corruption in Cameroon, is very disappointing to hear that they are talking here of bill, but they should rather be seen to it that Cameroon, as a signatory to the United Nations Convention against Corruption, is meeting up with its engagements, or Cameroon has ratified that convention. We should be seen to it that education is free. We should be seeing to it that because this principal was corrupt, he was sanctioned, or we should be seeing to it that this parent reported what action was taken. We are there, civil society activists, on the field to give you guys that support. We are there to do denunciations, but
I will
if these denunciations are done and no action is taken.
Please just jot what you have done before. I will come back to you, and you don't also just come here and talk about it. You're going to give us some examples, the denunciations that you have done. Before we get to you, let's go around the set. Promise, Akanti. This is a serious thing in our schools. That's why we're talking about it here.
It is serious. Now, Killian, you know that what happens...
The various forms it takes.
The various, all of the forms, and not only in the school milieu, but everywhere. You know, it's something like a reflex in our minds already. Like you go to a supermarket to park your car. There is this guy or these guys who are paid for helping people to park well or to come out of the parking, and they have a salary for that at the end of the month. But you automatically just have something in your mind, like, let me just give him something, so that next time I come, he'll give me a nice space in this parking lot. That's a reflex, like technically about a reflex. You go to a bank or a big establishment that has a day watch or a night watch, and you just feel like you should just give this guy something, so that next time you can have, the doors open for you easier. It's almost like a reflex, like we should just corrupt effortlessly. Now, if you're in your house and something's happening, someone outside will not know until someone in the house tells them. You go in a school setting as a journalist, as a parent, and as a former student. We have this chain that goes from up to down. The principals have their percentage in everything you bring as an envelope for every student, new or old. From the principals, they have their percentage. The vice principal has his own percentage, because every school has vice principals. They have discipline masters and mistresses, and then down to even the teachers and the parents. When you bring a new case, for example, and this case has an envelope that comes in, the principal has his own amount. I'm sure that, because we don't want to call names, but many parents will tell you that principals have their percentage in what comes in as the envelope. The vice principal has it, and down it triggers down to the teacher who brings the case of that student. If CONAC really wants to find out, they're going to find out. But they don't want to, they'll still not find out. And these control measures, it's not about telling people that, okay, I'm coming to your school to control corruption in your school. How do you expect them to behave? They are going to be good boys and girls. When we were kids, for example, we know that when our father is coming back home, you arrange the house. Even if you were playing, we know when he's coming back from work. We go back, and all the backrests are on the chair. The house is arranged. The chairs that are in disorder, you put them all in order, so
and
that
you
he comes
so
and
innocently,
you are so innocent, like nothing has happened. That's how we all behave. It's a human reflex, survival instincts. We want to survive from any danger that comes your way. So when CONAC is coming and blows their trumpet, we are coming to control corruption. Of course, everybody has to be right. Everybody has to be good. That's why we say, repent, for Jesus is coming. So that as Christians, you start confessing your sins, keeping holy and be neat. Nobody is going to show you, the CONAC person, that I am corrupt, because of course their career could be at stake. That is if CONAC has the power to make sure that a principal is dismissed from work because of corruption. Now, what is the way forward? Are we going to lie that there's no corruption? No, we will not lie. Now, putting on this billboard, Kilian, you and I, we know that on every cigarette packet there is a very light, shining message: cigarette kills, don't smoke. Has it stopped people from smoking? No. So putting the billboards and telling people that corruption is not good, will it stop them from being corrupt?
The punishment should be deterrent. Okay, Mrs. Nchitu Kimbi Imelda, we've heard all along the official of the National Anti-Corruption Commission is saying it's working. They are seeing improvement. The two other speakers say that no, they think it's serious. Well, but there's something we should point out to before you bring your reaction. It's not all the principals who, because we still have people of integrity in this country. You're an official in a school. Tell us your experience. Do you give? Do you receive?
Thank you very much, Kilian, for giving me the floor once again. In fact, like you say, we cannot say that corruption doesn't exist. And we cannot say that corruption exists everywhere. I like the emphasis on schools, because corruption is everywhere, taxation everywhere. Go to sign your building permit at the council, you have to pay a certain amount for the mayor's signature, which you never receive a receipt for. But I think that it's very important to hammer hard on schools, because children come into school, let's take the case of basic education, very innocent. But parents, I want to hammer on parents here. There are parents who go to school to corrupt teachers of their pupils, asking madam to give my child this position. It happened to my court cases. A child was living with me, and when she took a very bad number, when the mother called, she said, Mama, I took number 3. So they were clapped as number 3. So there are parents who go to school to corrupt teachers to give their children marks, and the children know. We are in secondary schools where a student comes to school. When time comes for school fees to be collected, you go to college school and say, no, j'ai acheté ma place. Je vais vous montrer le bureau du gala. You understand? So we are saying that we should hammer in school, so that by the time they say teach a child the ways to grow, so that when he grows, he will not depart from there. So I'm happy that we are hammering hard on schools. But it is good to know that it is not a sane person, a pure person, a transparent person is a transparent person. I've worked for 20 plus years, and I've worked with principals who are strict, and they never collected a single franc from any parent. And they kept on announcing during administrative meetings, nobody should collect any franc from any child, especially during these days with this crisis. Children are VIP some. You see the place where they live, you will cry for them. If you have the means, you don't help them to pay. But the person who is corrupt, no matter how much you sing this song, from today to tomorrow, they'll still collect the money. Yeah, there are people who come as intermediaries, sit in school, they don't even have anything to do in the school. So about billboards, I think that the billboards are very important, and some of the measures they are putting in place is to do have PTA fora, yes, Parent Teacher Association fora, where we send all the information. We go around the classes announcing the children. Tell your parents that when they come to school, you go and see the principal directly. It is the principal now who sends the children to the vice principal if there's an admission commission. I remember last year I was working with a principal, and she decided that no parent should even come to her. The children, when they come, we should direct them to her. If you are 10 years, you are 8 years, go say, I'm looking for admission in this class. She will discuss, she will take your file. Because those who deserve need to be admitted. A child might have missed admission, for example, in the Anglophone subsystem, where you know that after the government common entrance, when you pass in this A, you have a right to go to secondary school, but you still write an entrance, an interview. If a child comes late or whatever, it's the principal's discretion. So even when there's an admission commission, we sit there, and at the end of the day, it's the principal who. So I know principals who have never, because I've worked with them, and I've seen them declaring in meeting that anybody who takes money is doing that at his or her own risk. And when she discovers, she will call you up, because parents come and say, no, I gave her money to the, like the journalists were saying. People go right to homes. The cameras in school may not have any use. They go right to homes to give money to teachers there, or to some parents who may be parents representatives.
And there no camera will be there or no agent yes, to film.
So we are saying that the move for anti-corruption like CONAC have been there, but I think that the state is doing a very great job by introducing this individual students' ID numbers, so that there will be no case in school, because some of the principals or the school authorities don't even declare the total number of students who are in school. I remember my little girl when she was going to one school, at one time she came and said, no, that from 1D so says my principal a class. I said, what? From one, you are from one, I talk about the principal.
What does that mean?
Yeah, so that they have not declared them as students. So I don't think that such a thing can happen again today.
That's terrible.
Yes.
You know, Killian, I also think that if CONAC could use the media to announce to the public that this principal has been dismissed or sanctioned this way because of corruption, so that we should be comfortable knowing that it is not just about posters and billboards on campuses, but about stringent measures. We said dissuasive sanctions in a way that you see that it is action and reaction. This is the action. You received bribe during admissions or during examinations or having your own class for yourself. And CONAC finds out and sanctions the Minister of maybe basic education, secondary education, or even higher education, because of course we are not focusing only on secondary schools. We have this thing also up to university levels,
yes,
down to primary. So all the various ministers who are involved in education should make the sanctions loud and clear so that parents should know that it is possible to call CONAC's toll-free numbers, report these principals, and they are sanctioned. Because most of the times parents say, like, okay, after reporting, what next? What else?
Yes.
Let it be loud. Let it be clear. Let it be known to everyone that this principal in this government or private school was maybe removed from work or removed as principal and sent to classroom or some other serious fine. Let parents be comforted in their spirit that if I report a case, I can find this sanction.
Maybe because of my position, maybe because of my my quest to know what is happening, I've been reading the different annual reports from CONAC, and I have come across a long list of teachers, who were talking about teachers in schools, who have been sanctioned. They have it in the voluminous. I agree with you. That's what I'm saying. That what I'm saying is I have read names myself.
Yes.
I will give you a copy of the annual report of CONAC. This one is not actually defending CONAC. It's stating a fact that they have list in different sectors of people who have been punished.
I think let me just step in there.
Yes.
Because Roland is a is a civil society actor. You are telling him that CONAC, in its annual publication, which is the annual report on the fight against corruption in Cameroon, which a document that's published every year, he's still asking you that let it be made public.
No, I agree with him. I agree with him. That book, that voluminous book is there.
Let me say something here, please. That's the problem. That's the problem with the fight against corruption, especially in our context. Let me just take a small example. Let me just take even one of the finest countries in the fight against corruption in Africa, Rwanda. If you go and read the history on how Rwanda succeeded in the fight against corruption, these billboards that people are talking about, you know that they pay emphasis on sensitization, educating the masses. You are paying emphasis on repression, which is the last aspect in the strategy. Wherever, even the World Bank, in their strategy, repression comes last. You need to educate and sensitize. You are talking of catching people. But I will come
we accept. You know, the point is that you will take us so far and we'll get lost in the process. This is what happens.
Yes.
We had CONAC, which was first of all as an observatory. It's a continuation, even the name has started. We cannot continue 20 years after with sensitization. Yes. That is the point they are making. So do not hammer on that.
I give an example. Okay, let me just, I said it here off, my people did not understand.
Yes.
CONAC had two missions, almost in the same place at the same time. One was sensitization, because what we have to carry out in schools now is sensitization. To educate people, to sensitize them. The other mission was on road control, that's on the corridor. That one was never publicized. This one, people are saying that when CONAC wants to go and investigate, CONAC does not inform. That's ignorant. CONAC does not inform when CONAC is going for a missionary investigation. But if we are coming to sensitize, if we are inviting people to train them, we need to make.
Do you know why they are saying that? So what I'm saying is that,
let me answer you.
Yes.
Let me answer you. The missionary was on repression. That was never sensitization. So if you understand, the mission was on repression. In the annual report, you will get it. The actions that are ongoing, we don't need to communicate. If, for instance, in the course of that mission, some officials have been arrested and the investigations continue, we will not say this number has been arrested. Please, when you get the annual report, you have seen that document. You will see that a greater part of the report that CONAC makes on the annual report is on the cases of corruption that were tabled to the various jurisdictions and sanctions that were taken. For prevention, we just follow the approaches: prevention, education, condition, incitation, and sanctions.
Okay, we give you credit for
what we are saying is,
we'll give you credit for that. Let me break.
If you understand the strategy, for the fact the strategy, of course, was put in place by government and its development partners, which CONAC is implementing. So don't say it's just sensitization, because CONAC carries out other actions that people don't know about. So if you want to know what CONAC is doing, give me time and I will tell you. We are talking about back to school.
I will give you as much time. I will give you as much time as you need.
Yes.
You know, you've been talking for so long. I will give you more time. But this is no. What I'm going to propose. What I'm going to propose is going to help us understand better what he's saying, so that you come in. We had this goal that was set by CONAC at the beginning of this campaign this year. Ebenezer Akanga and Henry Tato, it can be Ebenezer Akanga in Yaoundé. He followed to somewhere in Central Region, and Tato is in the far north. Watch what CONAC set out to do, and then we're going to come back to see whether that's what CONAC is doing.
The back-to-school period is one which some school heads and presidents of parent-teacher associations often commit acts of corruption, like bribery at the time of student admissions, charging of illegal fees, misappropriation of PTE and ICT levies. The National Sensitization Campaign that has been launched by the National Anti-Corruption Commission, CONAC, is to ensure that stakeholders in the national education community participate in reducing and even eradicating corrupt practices at the start of the new school year. The campaign is unfolding under the theme, "Let's work together for a corruption-free 2024-2025 school year."
It is a big challenge for us. It is a big challenge for students. It is the big challenge for teachers. It is the big challenge for parents also, that we must develop integrity.
In what has been dubbed the message from Akunolinga, everyone who may be victim to an act of corruption is called upon to denounce it to the National Anti-Corruption Commission.
The message is that everybody should work hard and correctly without any violation of law and rule.
Teams from CONAC have been deployed to all the regions, not only to raise awareness in members of the national education community, but also to draw their attention to sanctions that await culprits.
Either principals or middlemen demanding 30 to 50,000 CFA francs as bribe from parents to enroll a new student, especially those in Form 1 or CZM, or the parents themselves coming with money to see the principals for the enrollment of their children. That is the situation in most parts of the far north during back-to-school periods, which explains the arrival of a team of the National Anti-Corruption Commission of Cameroon, CONAC, to sensitize stakeholders on the dangers of such acts.
CONAC is telling that it is not good to continue bad practices by this period, because the sector education is one of the most important in our nation.
All my collaborators, yes, I'm trying to tell them that it is not possible to do this or to do that, because it is against the regulation.
The CONAC team will continue sensitization with posters, handbills and newsletters in other parts of the region.
Yeah, yes, you watch those two reports. Yes, those two reports, one done by Ebenezer Akanga from Akunolinga in the Central Region when the campaign was launched, and then one by Henry Tato from the far north. Henry Tato, it can be from the far north, when the teams actually were already on the field. And I am going to invite you to also watch another one. This time we're going to watch Barrister Ernest Mbaka, who is suggesting that CONAC cannot do so much because by its status, it doesn't have enough powers to execute or to carry out some sanctions. Let's watch him.
It's a good institution, but it's limited, in the sense that it carries out its work, but does not go right to the end to say, for example, if somebody is suspected of carrying out a corruption act, the Anti-Corruption Commission should be able to gather the information and defend that before the law courts. So we expect a situation where the Anti-Corruption Commission has the mandate to go right to the end and get right to court to defend what they have as information against either the person who has carried, the giver or the receiver of acts of corruption.
Yes, William.
Yes, Killian.
You have watched those two reports,
yes.
The mission and the limitation that CONAC, the National Anti-Corruption Commission, has.
Yes.
I'll give you 2 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, I agree that CONAC does not have enough power as the institution would have loved to have. We don't have courts where we would have prosecuted, where CONAC magistrates would have prosecuted suspects of corruption. So what we do is that in a case where CONAC has carried out its investigations, if it is an investigation that, if it's on, let me say, it's rapid resort, let's say rapid intervention action, that you catch the culprit red-handed, you catch the person in the act, the person goes directly. The procureur of that jurisdiction has the obligation, let me say, the duty, the responsibility to send the person direct to prison.
So, in other words,
the barrister is not. He did not get. Is not. I'm sorry to say that. To hear him say that CONAC does not go to court to defend, to see that the investigations carried out or the charges levied on the person go to the end so that the person is punished as per the law. But that's what CONAC does. I'm sorry, that's what CONAC does. CONAC appears in every court in the country, wherever or within the jurisdiction where CONAC has carried out investigations on an investigation or a corruption case.
Yes.
And I was saying that
for the
information
Please,
of people.
There are other panelists. Let's give them.
So I just want to say that the information, in as much as we would have loved to have more power, but the power that are given to us to CONAC now, CONAC is using them and very well too. And CONAC is appearing in court because CONAC does not have court. CONAC is appearing in court to defend its charges, its investigations, and there are sanctions that have been meted.
Yes, Roland.
Communicate more.
Victims.
You make a comment and I'll way forward because we have 8 minutes to our credit. So you have 2 minutes.
Thank you.
Mrs. Chitu has 2 minutes. Promise has 2 minutes.
If I should say a last word, it should be that CONAC should give more, more space or a place for the consumers or the public. It should involve the civil society, the private sector in the fight against corruption. The fight against corruption will never be anything if
you say 2 minutes, I have to step in there. If the private sector is there, you will not give me time to say the private sector is there.
You had more than 2 minutes. Let him speak.
The private sector is involved. The national strategy says and CONAC is working.
I know about the National Anti-Corruption Coalition.
And the private sector is involved in CONAC's agenda. The private sector is involved. I can give you examples of private sectors like the National
Anti-Corruption Coalition.
So you know the private sector.
I know about it. I've been working with CONAC for years now, but I'm saying that we need to give more importance to exposing corruption. And then how can corruption be exposed and how can we even make it important? How can we even encourage people to do that? We can encourage people to do that by exposing the results of actions. If
Roland, we get you very well. This is the number. This is the number.
You can even go on www.conac.cm.
I'm saying that.
This is the number.
Let the public know that the principal of this school was sanctioned for corruption acts. For example, was dismissed
we got that right
because of
we
corruption.
Got that right.
If the public should know that, if people know that reporting corruption will lead to action, you will receive even more reports.
That's correct. This is the number. 15, 17. How many times have you called that number?
Severally. They even have a WhatsApp number. I don't have the number.
Do you call?
Now. I've been calling and then reporting severally.
Okay.
I say, I actually, maybe I'm not supposed to say that here, but I am the bridge between the United Nations Convention Against Corruption review, the implementation review, and then the National Anti-Corruption Commission of Cameroon.
Now, in 30 seconds, is it working? The measures, the control measures, are they working or not in Cameroon?
The measures are working, Mr. Killian, but they are not working as we would have loved them to be.
Thank you. That is enough. That's what I wanted you to say.
CONAC should be more present on the public space, on the media. They should tell us that this person was arrested because of corruption.
Thank you very much.
That will push many
more
that message
has passed.
Corruption.
That message has passed, Imelda.
Okay.
The way forward. What should be done so that this cankerworm is...
we should all examine our consciences. Education is like a triangle where you have the society represented by parents. These children come from homes. You have the school, they leave the home, they come to school, and they go back to the home. I don't know whether we may have to start appealing to priests and pastors to start preaching in churches, sensitizing people about the danger of corruption, so that all of us will examine our consciences and be able to cooperate with the measures put in place so that we can live in a corruption-free country. It is difficult, but I think that the measures are put in place. For example, it is only from tomorrow, because the ministers realized that there was a lot of corruption when they started paying fees in July after the interview results and all of that. I think that even if there is corruption now, it will be limited, because it's only from tomorrow 26th that we have to start collecting school fees from students. And when they collect, they give them their numbers. I think gradually, if all of us cooperate.
Thank you. Yes, that measure we should applaud, because it also happens when the various teachers and heads of schools would have been transferred, so you don't collect and then run away and you put the person who is coming to take over from you in trouble. So there are so many reforms. I was quoting the Minister of Secondary Education. I know the Minister of Basic Education is doing the same, and the other sectors are doing this higher education, are making sure that all those things work out well. Yes, Prof.
And you know, maybe I just add the last word. You know, with this new dispensation, these rules put in place, there will be traceability and accountability. Finally, you will not see that, because it's not about collecting bribe all the time. It's also about keeping students in school illegally. They're not insured. So that there will be traceability now. If you come to school, you'll be able to go, because you know the Minister of Secondary Education, or the Ministers of Education generally, they're stressing on this idea of digitalization of teaching learning.
Yes.
So all of us have to, now with the new dispensation, you can sit at home and pay your school fees through Express Union.
Very good. That is already effective.
We are going
Thank
to,
you. Yes,
we are going
promise.
to succeed.
Yes, and I'm a journalist, so generally I'll talk about what the people on the other side, like our audience, need to know. It is true that most of these things, we have them in their voluminous reports, but CONAC should do well to communicate. It's not all about the state media, forgive my trespasses, but we have people who are good with the private media. Use every form of communication. Don't tell people that, oh, because you have this book, go and look for it and read. Let the man on the street, the buy and sell in Machine Fundi, be able to tune to any radio station and listen to CONAC's reports.
I think
we are towards the end of the year.
In a press conference, some kind of
towards the end of the year. It is different.
Promise.
William, listen, we are going to the end of the year. Go and use your voice. Excuse me, I'm still talking. You should understand that when you have micro programs, when you have micro programs and you air them with your own voice,
we have them.
It is different. I am a health journalist, for example. It is similar to that state media. Go to the private media and have this in every place. I don't know why you're defending yourself, but listen to suggestions. We are helping you to do a better job, William. So now listen to some of us. We are telling you that use every single communication means to let people know that this is what we are doing. This is towards the end of the year. You see come up with your reports. Go to churches, to Njangi houses, village
and
meetings,
then you name and you shame.
We are saying that name and shame in public. Don't put it in those books. You are defending yourself instead of listening to our advice. We are suggesting that make this thing, because it's not working. You are not communicating. You are talking to yourself among yourselves. You fail to understand that we are helping you to
now, please, William, you have the floor. William, you have the floor. She is saying you are being too defensive. Instead of listening, you are also here. You are also here. Now you have the floor. You have the floor. Now, William, you have the floor. Promise. You know we are not here for ourselves. The public also has followed what you have said.
What I'm saying is that those things that you say, communication, CONAC does a lot of communication.
To who? That's the problem. You communicate to who and how effective. Thank you.
Maybe that's
who are you communicating to?
Now we have to improve on our communication.
That's what she said.
We have been saying that. That's all I've been saying.
State media had to come in to talk of private media because you said only state media had to prove that.
No, how many private media do you use?
Programs had to come in to tell her that we have micro program. Now I can come now to tell you, answer your question, that the National Anti-Corruption Commission has a mandate to help in the implementation of the National Anti-Corruption Strategy. But every state institution, by the constitution of this country, has a responsibility to fight corruption.
Look at your wristwatch and look at the indication. Look at the indication there. What it simply means is that our time is up. What if you are seeing it with me? No, it's okay. They are indicating that our time is up. No, thank you very much. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Roland, our time is up means that it's up. No, there's no time again, please. Let us respect ourselves. There's a program. There's a program after this. There's a program after this. William, please, you can't do that. William, we have to respect ourselves.
There's effective communication.
And I want to thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen, for coming. You see, they got out of control at this very last minute of the program. It is their emotions. We don't suppress our emotions on press. We always make sure that we use our good sense to control, to guide our emotions. And that's why we are ending this program this time at this very hot moment of our emotions. But we end the program. Thanking you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for watching and advising you to watch this program on Monday at 2:30 on CRTV Premium and at 9 p.m. after the news in French on Wednesday on CRTV News. Have a great time ahead.